watching NBC4, the Tri-State News Channel. And now, Sue Simmons, Jim Rosenfield, Janice Huff, and Len Berman. This is News Channel 4, live at 5.
Peaceful protests by hundreds of demonstrators as the World Economic Forum comes to New York City.
The deadline for death is extended by the captors of Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl. Good evening, everyone. Everything in place for the World Economic Forum, except the protesters.
The city is braced for large, disruptive demonstrations. Midtown is a maze of barricades manned by thousands of police officers. But so far, the gathering of economic movers and shakers is proceeding smoothly with little outside interference. Ralph Penz is live outside the Waldorf, which was expected to be a main target for any protest. What happened, Ralph?
Yes, Sue, even with the cold and with the drizzle, the police are smiling right now. Those demonstrators who they say have attacked in other cities violently, well, they haven't appeared here today, and here is how this day began. The police made sure that the area around the Waldorf was tightly secure against any violence-prone demonstrators. But with the forum underway inside the hotel, there was no violence outside, and early in the day, no sign of protesters. Well, just take a look. Police vehicles all the way down Park Avenue guarding the Waldorf Astoria where the forum is being held. But at this hour, 9:15 in the morning, not a single demonstrator.
I need identification, please.
There was a lot of hassle for folks just trying to get to work. Walking a few blocks from Park Avenue to Rockefeller Center required proof that you work in the area. Where are you from?
From Italy.
And they're not letting you through?
No.
Some people, for reasons the cops wouldn't say, were actually escorted as they walked up the block. Most folks took the identification demand in stride.
As long as it's for our safety, it's very important.
Meantime, at press conferences, protesters were blasting the World Economic Forum.
And this sort of shadowy, backroom, insider deal-making.
They insisted that multinational corporations meeting inside the Waldorf Astoria were making deals to carve up the world while the poor suffered. They insisted the forum was not just a place to trade ideas on improving the world economy. However, Brent Blackwelder of Friends of the Earth, the leader of the protest press conference, admitted that he'd been invited to the forum sessions in the past. And union leader Andrew Stern admitted he was attending this one. Nevertheless, is this really some sort of an organization that has tremendous power, or is it a discussion group?
Well, I think anytime you get together the richest and most powerful people in the world, it would be foolish to believe that important things don't go on.
Ironically, the only demonstration near the Waldorf was by the Falun Gong, the religious group. They were appealing to forum members to help them fight persecution by the Chinese government. Meantime, at the barricades, New Yorkers continued to try to get to work. That's your credit card.
That's my credit card. Okay, here's my driver's license. This is Connecticut.
Job.
Echo Properties Management. Here's a plug.
What are you going to have to do? You're going to have to walk down one block?
Now, this is only the first day of the World Economic Forum, and so this frozen zone around here will remain. The hassles will remain through tomorrow, through the weekend, and into Monday. So be patient. Back to you.
Ralph Penz, thank you. We've seen protesters at other economic forums oftentimes turning violent. Now they're here in New York. How's it going so far? We continue our team coverage now with Glenn Walker live in Midtown Forest. Glenn?
Well, Jim, as Ralph said, things relatively quiet on the first day of the World Economic Forum. However, the NYPD does tell us they have made 8 arrests on this first day. All of those people arrested are facing minor charges. Now, behind me right now here on 5th Avenue is the Rally for Global Justice in front of a Gap store. And, you know, there's been complaints from protesters that they're not able to get the attention of the people attending the World Economic Forum because the protests are being held too far away. And that is certainly the case with this one. They are 4 winding blocks away from the Waldorf Astoria, but they are certainly getting the attention of the commuters and the shoppers here on 5th Avenue. They say that they want to join workers from around the world and social and economic justice activists in a rally to demand global economy that works for working families everywhere. They say no to sweatshops, layoffs, and the global corporate agenda. Say yes to the worldwide movement for global justice. Is it the same message that we have seen outside of other World Economic Forums? Attending this rally is AFL-CIO President John Sweeney, AFL-CIO Treasurer Secretary Richard Trumka, and Unite President Bruce Rayner, and Canadian Labour Congress President Ken Giorgetti. They are all participating in this rally. It is again called the Rally for Global Justice, just the first of many that we will see through the weekend here in Midtown Manhattan. Reporting live from 5th Avenue, I'm Glenn Walker. Now back to the studio.
Glenn, thank you. So what else went on during the first day of the Economic Forum? We continue our team coverage with Tim Minton, who's outside the Waldorf, with details.
So even by this city's standards, it is extraordinary to have the likes of Bill Gates, the chairman of Microsoft, and literally hundreds of other chief executives of corporations, top religious leaders, heads of state, all at one time descending on New York. As he arrived to join the elite bosses of worldwide business and politics, Harvard Business School boss John Quelch described the event's chief attraction.
It's very important to see global leaders up close and personal.
But for all the controversy generated by demonstrations outside, the reality of globalization forums is that they often sound a lot like Sunday morning talk shows.
I do not hear many people talking about problems in Chechnya.
At a session on international security, a Newsweek editor wondered if some governments aren't using the threat of terror to crack down on political and ethnic enemies. A top official of the Russian government quickly defended the killing of civilians in Chechnya.
In fact, we have won the war in Chechnya. Unfortunately, we didn't have good weapons, so we had a very big collateral damage.
And for those who think the forum is a chummy club consisting of just the powerful, consider this. That Russian official was swiftly challenged by another invited guest, the head of Human Rights Watch.
The Russian atrocities in Chechnya are not just a matter of having poor weapons. They're also a matter of the filtration camps, which commit systematic torture, disappearances.
For all the international flavor, though, this renewal of the annual get-together is uniquely New York. Normally known as the Davos Group for its Swiss Alpine location, it decided to come here after September 11th.
And it shows such a fantastic solidarity, and that's what I think the world is doing.
We're thrilled to have them, and the best is yet to come for New York.
Mayor Bloomberg, along with Governor Pataki, will be addressing a session of all of the leaders here in just about a half hour to an hour from now. One participant here pointed to the fact that the leaders of business, education, religion, and government all together at one time, sometimes you have one group or another all together at one time, and he said, it is an exclusive group indeed, and I am glad, he said, to be a member of it. We're live at the Waldorf. Tim Minton, News Channel 4. Sue.
I'll take it, Tim. Thank you. In other news now, we're continuing to watch developments in the case of kidnapped Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl. Tonight, the U.S. government says it will not negotiate Pearl's release. Meantime, boxing champ Muhammad Ali is lending his weight to help get Pearl released. Steve Handelsman is live at the White House with more tonight. Steve?
Jim, the good news today is an email which seems to indicate that Daniel Pearl has at least one more day. The bad news comes from here in Washington, from Secretary of State Colin Powell, who says, not surprisingly, that the Bush administration is refusing to negotiate for the life of the journalist, even though it looks like there's more time to do it. There's no way to know if Daniel Pearl is alive, and no new pictures were sent, but the latest email claims that the newsman's threatened execution has been delayed. We give you one more day, said the unsigned message sent to Western and Pakistani media. If America will not meet our demands, we will kill Daniel. Then this cycle will continue and no American journalist could enter Pakistan. The apparent delay in the promised execution came after a promise of publicity from Pearl's newspaper, the Wall Street Journal, managing editor Paul Steiger asking kidnappers to provide Danny a detailed list of the issues and grievances that are important to you, that Pearl would share with the world, but cautioning that only through Danny's safe release can your group tell your side of the story. In Pakistan, Pearl's pregnant wife had protested his innocence.
I want to remind them that my husband and I are both journalists.
But in earlier emails, a group calling itself the National Movement for the Restoration of Pakistani Sovereignty called Pearl an agent of Israeli intelligence. He'd been kidnapped by an elaborate ruse, lured to this hotel from his rented Karachi home to meet a radical Muslim leader under arrest today. Pearl suspected the man was linked to accused shoe bomber Richard Reed. For Pearl's life, the group demands the U.S. sell warplanes to Pakistan and free suspected al-Qaeda and Taliban fighters detained at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Both rejected today by the U.S. Secretary of State.
The demands that the kidnappers have placed are not demands that we can meet or deal with or get into a negotiation about.
No reaction to that yet. from the email writers in Pakistan. Boxer Muhammad Ali is personally pleading for Daniel Pearl's life, saying in a statement that the journalist gives voice to those who wish to be heard. And Ali is pleading with fellow Muslims to lead by example and free the American. I'm Steve Handelsman, News Channel 4, live at the White House. Sue?
Steve, thank you. The U.S. Armed Forces will finally be getting the anthrax vaccine they've been waiting for. The only American pharmaceutical company that makes the anthrax vaccine has won approval to start shipping it out. Bioport, based in Lansing, Michigan, had repeatedly failed federal inspections over the past 4 years. As a result, efforts to fully supply the armed forces had been stalled. But the Food and Drug Administration now says Bioport's factory is up to snuff. Pressure to approve distribution of the vaccine had grown since last fall's anthrax outbreak.
Anti-abortion advocates have won a key ruling from the Bush administration today. The government says a developing fetus may be classified as an unborn child who is eligible for federal health care. Under this ruling, a fetus will qualify for care under the state Children's Health Insurance Program. That will help low-income women get access to prenatal care. But abortion rights advocates say this is a way to establish a fetus as a person with legal standing, and that could make it easier to outlaw abortion.
Former Attorney General Janet Reno was on her way home to Florida today after fainting last night in Rochester. The 63-year-old checked out of the hospital today after an overnight stay. Last night she collapsed while delivering a speech at the University of Rochester. Reno, who suffers from Parkinson's disease, says the auditorium was too hot for her. She says she doesn't think her collapse will hurt her campaign for Florida governor. She is one of 5 Democrats trying to unseat Jeb Bush. Still ahead on Live at 5, a surprising remark from Ariel Sharon that Yasser Arafat is calling a threat. Gabe Pressman has the latest from Israel.
Then, cutting through city bureaucracy, it could be as easy as dialing 311.
Encouraging words for students from 2 civil rights leaders at a school recently rocked by violence. A stark statement published in Israel today creates new turmoil. Prime Minister Ariel Sharon is quoted as saying he is sorry Israeli forces did not kill Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat 20 years ago when they cornered him in Beirut. Sharon has not commented further, but Arafat advisors call it a, quote, provocation. Sharon also reportedly said Arafat could still become a partner for peace by cracking down on militants. Meanwhile, 2 members of the Palestinian militant group Hamas detonated a bomb and fired on an Israeli farm workers' truck in the Gaza Strip. Both men were killed as Israeli soldiers returned fire.
Senior correspondent Gabe Pressman is in Israel this evening. I spoke to him this afternoon about his impressions. He says Sharon's statement doesn't seem to be helping matters.
Israeli Prime Minister Sharon's statement that Israel should have killed Yasser Arafat 20 years ago has shocked many Israelis and Palestinians. Incendiary rhetoric is hardly the biggest concern of Israeli citizens. They're still stunned by the succession of suicide bombings that have taken many lives. I talked to several Israeli citizens, Jim, in the last couple of hours. The general feeling, pessimism. One woman said, we have Sharon on one side, Arafat on the other, and if you want peace, there doesn't seem to be any way out of it. Another woman talked about her teenage daughter. She'd like to go dancing with her friends. She said, I can't let her. We have to stick close to home. Public places are dangerous. So Israel is tense, Jim, and from what I can observe after just a few hours on the ground, there's very little progress toward peace and a lot of pessimism. It's a pretty dreary kind of place in the streets. The hotel I'm in, the Sheraton in Tel Aviv, has journalists in it, and that's about it. A lot of empty rooms.
Gabe will be reporting from Israel in the coming days, focusing on terrorism and how to combat it, as well as personal stories from people both in Israel and on the West Bank.
Coming up, did you ever dream of traveling in outer space? Well, this is we'll have a story about how you can take a turn as a tourist on the International Space Station.
And will the rain let up for the weekend? Janice has the forecast just ahead. You could be the next space tourist if you're in good health, you speak Russian and English, and you have enough bucks to pay for anything you might break out there. NASA today outlined conditions for civilian space travelers. It was unhappy last year as Russia transported California millionaire Dennis Tito to the International Space Station. He and a second space tourist from South Africa, who's set to blast off in April, reportedly paid about $20 million apiece. NASA says be prepared for a year's tough astronaut-level training if you want to go American.
You gotta want to go bad. 20 million smackaroonies.
Yeah, I could do a lot with money like
That's an expensive trip.
May I say how wonderful the weather is today? How pleasant it is to be outside.
Yeah, sure.
If you like drizzle.
If you love drizzle, dampness all over your face, you love today. Well, we could always use a nice little soaking, as light as it was across the area. We had a little bit of light icing in some spots, but we mainly missed all that in most locations, the cold air remaining to the north. A wicked storm in the Midwest, and for us, just a misty rain, a cold, misty rain. Let's look outside and see what's left of it. The streets are damp at this hour as we look at some of the traffic now moving around the region. And the temperature at 38 degrees, cloudy skies, a little bit of drizzle here and there. For the most part, all heavy precipitation is now over in the immediate tri-state area, and it looks like we might see some more showers later tonight or tomorrow morning. But for now, things are quiet. Winds are from the east, 9 miles per hour. Relative humidity, 100%. Plenty of moisture around out there. Barometer now falling, 30.23. Let's check the neighborhood WeatherNet stations now and see what's happening. It's 36 degrees at Tuckahoe High School in Eastchester, 0.17 of an inch of precip for you, mainly rain. Blairstown, New Jersey, 31 at the freezing mark. So there are some areas where the temperatures are right around freezing, maybe slightly below, where even though you may not have precipitation falling right now, there's still a lot of damp streets, damp sidewalks, and if your temperature is below freezing like in Blairstown, you might see some icing, just some light icing as the temperatures stay right around freezing tonight. But in terms of heavy stuff, not for us. Well, we did make it to 41 in Central Park earlier today, but mainly temperatures have been hovering around the 30s all day, the low of 36 and the rainfall 0.03. The record high for the day was 63. That was set in 1947. Record low of -1 in 1920. 28 in Newburgh. See, the cold air was very close, but still way to the north of the city. 34 in White Plains, mainly mid to upper 30s across Long Island and New Jersey at this hour. A lot of snow falling across New England tonight, upstate New York. It's sort of calmed down back to the west where they had the big snowstorm in Chicago in the last 24 hours. They're getting a little bit of light icing right now, but a lot of it has tapered off. And thunderstorms trailing to the south of that, right where all this cold air meets the warm air in the southeast. We're seeing stormy weather in Missouri, Arkansas, and Louisiana tonight. We're going to see some spotty drizzle here continuing. All the snow will be to our north. A little bit of fog to go with that tonight. Low temperature 32 in Newburgh. Actually, we're going to see temperatures rising through the evening because tomorrow we may hit 60 again. We'll be in the warm sector of the front before it passes through in the afternoon. Once it passes, the cold air will move in. But before that happens, look at the highs tomorrow. 50s to mid to upper 60s. One more day of that. Jet stream will bring us some cold air on Sunday. Things really cool off next week, and a zonal flow from west to east across most of the nation. So pretty quiet weather. Here's a forecast for the tri-state area for tonight. We expect an overnight low 40, drizzle and fog. Really damp and dreary and ugh. But that's okay. I know that's what you wanted to say, Sue. Light rain, patchy fog, a temperature of 46 degrees. And tomorrow morning, cloudy, milder, breezy with a high of 61. Yeah, that's right, 61 tomorrow. But then it turns colder over the weekend. Here's a 5-day forecast. Check it out. On Saturday, we'll be in the 30s. This is a very typical temperature, though, for this time of the year. Sunshine, partly cloudy Sunday, maybe a little light snow on Monday, but temperatures in the upper 30s during the day, upper 20s at night. Not out of the ordinary weather for this time of the year coming up for the weekend. Now, I know Sue and Chuck and Len will be leaving us soon to go to the Olympics. A little over a week away, the opening ceremonies in Salt Lake City. So we have prepared for Sue her very own forecast because she's very concerned about her trip and her journey to Salt Lake City. First of all, she's not quite sure where Salt Lake City is on the map, so here we go. We're traveling all the way to Salt Lake City. It's about a 4.5, 5-hour flight from this area. There's Utah right there in the middle, and all those states you were wondering about.
States there for us.
Yeah, we had labeled them all. You're right in smack dab in the middle of Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Wyoming, and Idaho. A little geography lesson for you there. And now we've got a little weather for you. Mostly cloudy. That's the current temperature now, 26 degrees in Salt Lake City. And here's the forecast for tomorrow. We're going to be updating you with this for the next couple of days before you go. Highs in the 20s tomorrow, lows in the teens. So it's rather chilly in the west. They've been influenced by a dip in the jet stream this time of the year. Now, I didn't mean to go back to this map, but we do have one other thing to show you because we know Sue practicing her triple sow cow and has landed on her sow cow.
And yes, that's exactly what would happen if I try to do that.
More
I appreciate it. Thank you very
more
much.
to come. Pre-Olympic forecasting for
That was
Sue.
a very cute outfit she had on, too.
Wasn't that adorable? You can thank Sue McNeely for that.
Thank you, Sue. All right, Janice. Thank you. We'll see you later.
Here's Sue's traveling partner, Chuck Scarborough, with a look at what's ahead on News Channel 4 at 6.
I can't wait to see Sue in that tutu out there in Utah. Here's what we're working on. Sex, lies, and videotape. There was a woman accused of snaring a New York man in an international sex scam. She is stopped in her tracks, and police say they have the videotape to prove it. Also ahead, a heartbreaking story. Cancer takes the life of a World Trade Center widow. Now the couple's 2 sons are orphans. Those stories and more when Michelle and I see you at 6.
Chuck, thank you.
There's a massive recall to tell you about coming up. Details about some dangerous dehumidifiers.
And a new way to determine if you are at risk for colon cancer. We'll be right back. 1.4 million dehumidifiers are being recalled tonight. The Whirlpool Corporation says they can overheat and start fires. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says there are 13 reported cases of dehumidifier fires, including 3 with extensive damage. No injuries are reported. The dehumidifiers have a front-mounted water bucket. They were sold as Whirlpool, Kenmore, and Comfortable brands between February 1997 and last December. Now, consumers should unplug them and can arrange for free repair by calling Whirlpool at 1-866-640-7139. If you want more information, log on to our website at WNBC.com.
Wall Street enjoying a second straight day of gains. With improving economic news, investors putting more of their money back into the stock market. The Dow climbed 157 points, closing at 99.20. The NASDAQ went along for the ride, adding 20 points to finish the day and the month at 1934.
In news for your health tonight, colon cancer, the nation's #3 cancer killer.
Turns out that a powerful weapon in the battle against colorectal cancer may just be a computer. Dr. Max is here to explain.
That's right, Jim. So, you hear a lot about risk factors for developing cancer, but that's hard to personalize in your individual case. Now there's an innovative website that will both tell you your personal chances of developing colorectal cancer and, better yet, what you can do about it.
It's a potential killer that strikes presidents and professional athletes, whites and blacks, the famous and the anonymous. It'll kill nearly 60,000 Americans this year, yet experts say the vast majority of colorectal cancers can actually be prevented, not cured, but prevented.
We could see 75% of colon cancer prevented through these changes.
Things that we can, in fact, do ourselves.
Under our control.
Okay, but how do you know what to do? Dr. Graham Kolditz and colleagues at the Harvard School of Public Health have analyzed hundreds of scientific studies and hundreds of thousands of questionnaires from the Harvard Nurses Study and come up with this: a website that'll walk you through a series of easy questions that'll determine your individualized risk for developing colorectal cancer. Things like age and height, because risk goes up with increasing age and height. And family history, of course, but most interesting are the things that you can change.
We estimate that between 90 and 95% of the population have at least one thing they can be doing.
Things like the amount of red meat you consume. Less is better. Obesity is a significant risk factor. Almost any regular physical activity lowers the risk, even just walking. Fruits and vegetables lower your risk of colon cancer and heart disease and diabetes, but not because of fiber. That part of the story hasn't withstood scientific scrutiny.
Now, once we have our risk thermometer, so to speak, for our fictitious patient here, you can see that this person would be above average for their risk of developing colon cancer. What's really useful about this website is that you can click on some of these factors here that are within your control, things you yourself can change, and watch your risk factor either go up or, of course, preferably go down.
A big drop in risk comes if you take multivitamins. That's because they contain folic acid, which helps keep cells from dividing out of control. Regular aspirin use also protects, but not without risk. But the greatest reduction of all may come from having some form of colorectal cancer screening, whether it's a colonoscopy, barium enema, or a simple blood stool test.
Now, the Harvard website lets you figure out your risk for developing a dozen different cancers. You can get to the cancer risk website by going to our website at WNBC.com and click at the top where it says health. Now, this is your chance to not just worry about cancer, but actually do something to prevent it. There you go.
Thanks, Dr. Max. Just ahead, a rapist terrorizing women in Brooklyn finally under arrest.
Then what Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton told students at Martin Luther King High School in the wake of recent violence there.
Also, why a local paper will stop the presses permanently after more than a century.
And are hands-free cell phones making New York's roadways any safer? Asa has the answer. Still ahead on Live at 5. A wealthy New York real estate heir has pleaded not guilty to a murder charge. Robert Durst entered the plea in a Texas courtroom today. He is accused of murdering and dismembering an elderly neighbor and dumping the remains in Galveston Bay. Durst is also under investigation for the disappearance of his wife 20 years ago and for the shooting death of a friend in the year 2000, but he hasn't been charged for those crimes. His murder trial begins in June.
Back here at home, a man terrorizing women in Brooklyn by raping them and robbing them is finally under arrest this evening. Tiwa Chang is outside police headquarters in Lower Manhattan with more for us. Tiwa?
Well, Jen, within the hour, the police held a news conference here at police headquarters to announce that they had captured this alleged multiple rapist and robber. Now, all of this began about 10 days ago. Now, what you'll be looking at, these are bank surveillance photos of a man police say repeatedly raped 2 women on January 21st and on January 22nd, respectively, in East Flatbush and in Canarsie. He also made them withdraw money from their bank accounts using ATM cards. Now, within 4 hours of releasing that photo, police received tips that the man they wanted was this man, 24-year-old Hashim Shane Matthews, a 6'3", 190-pound 24-year-old who apparently wandered all over the city staying with friends. And after this picture was released, police received more tips. And the police credit both the public and the media for helping capture this alleged rapist.
Clearly, the publicity provided by news media not only led to his identification on the original pattern, but also to his identification on 2 other serious crimes. Dozens of detectives have been tracking him since he was identified. And as a result of the intense manhunt, he was taken into custody at approximately noon yesterday at the Alps Motel at 922 Boston Road in the Bronx.
Now, this picture was taken of Matthews yesterday after he was arrested in the Bronx. Police say all the publicity kept him running just one step ahead of the police, at least until yesterday. Now, after the publicity, a 17-year-old, as the captain mentioned, called to say that he had sexually assaulted her in the Bronx. Another woman said he had robbed her. That makes a total of 3 sexual attacks of rape and of sodomy, and also 2 robberies. Now, he apparently used 2 pistols when he would attack the women. Now, he surrendered without incident. The police say he seemed to be relieved to not have to run anymore. He'd apparently run out of places to stay with his friends and had to go to that hotel. Reporting live at police headquarters, Tiwa Chang, News Channel 4, now back to the studio.
Tiwa, thank you. Serious questions tonight about the release of a convicted killer who is now suspected of killing again. Police are investigating whether Edwin Snellgrove Jr. killed a woman in Hartford, Connecticut. He's currently charged with the attempted kidnap and assault of another woman. Snellgrove was released from a New Jersey prison 2 years ago, having served 11 years for killing a Middlesex County woman and stabbing another. Corrections officials say their computer system was to blame for not notifying authorities early enough that a convicted killer had been released.
A school tries to heal and move on. 2 weeks ago, 2 teenagers were shot and wounded inside Martin Luther King High School in Manhattan. Today, students took part in a special assembly dedicated to Dr. King's legacy. Education reporter Carol Ann Riddell has more.
Stop the violence. Save the children. Stop the violence. Save the children.
Words of inspiration at Martin Luther King High School, a school rocked by violence earlier this month when gunfire erupted inside the building, wounding 2 teenagers. Today's event, billed as part of the healing process for the school, included Reverends Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. At one point, Jackson asked the young audience about their experiences with drugs and violence.
You know someone in your school who has tried drugs, Stan.
Reverend Jackson went on to encourage kids to report drugs and violence, a theme echoed by Reverend Sharpton.
When you respect yourself, you don't let people bring guns around you, because you didn't come here to get shot. You come here to study.
Sharpton is proposing a hotline for kids to report guns in schools, staffed through his organization.
We need to give young people an alternative to say that they want to see students that are misbehaving be able to be dealt with without them being publicly humiliated like they're snitching on their friends.
Security at Martin Luther King has been tightened since the shooting. The Board of Education says the number of safety officers has increased from 14 to 40. Students we spoke with say a hotline might work.
Some kids might not use it, but you know, for those who fear for their safety, should use it, and it's a good idea.
Chancellor Harold Levy didn't stick around to answer reporters' questions, but a spokesperson tells us he will meet with Reverend Sharpton to talk about his proposal for a hotline. At Martin Luther King High School in Manhattan, Carol Ann Riddell, News Channel 4.
And the Board of Ed says the increased security will remain at Martin Luther King High School as they work on new plans to keep students safe.
Well, 911 is for emergencies, and now New York City residents will have a hotline for their other government problems. Mayor Bloomberg promises quick response time there, too, on a planned new 311 phone system. It will consolidate the 40-plus helplines for city agencies. Today, he visited the Public Safety Answering Center in Brooklyn.
The difference is, of course, that 911 is when you absolutely positively need help, you call 911. 311 is much more a service function. We'll try to get as much money.
The mayor says it may take a year for the line to be up and running completely. Problems with garbage, street repairs, tree prunings, as well as tax information will be covered. 20 other cities nationwide have the 311 service.
The Red Cross today unveiled its plan to distribute another $360 million collected for victims of the September terror attacks. 58,000 families expected to share in the Liberty Disaster Fund. Each family who lost someone gets an average of $109,000 in cash. Families of the injured or deceased get a year of living expenses. Former Senator George Mitchell was named the independent manager after the charity came under fire for using donations for other programs.
The Red Cross acknowledged its mistakes and changed some of its policies. Regrettably, the focus on those mistakes has obscured the tremendous amount of good work that was done by the Red Cross to provide care.
Other benefits include physical and mental health services and help finding permanent homes and jobs. By September, the Red Cross plans to give away 90% of the estimated $850 million it's collected.
Still ahead on Live at 5, the high-speed Olympic sport, luge.
And Len Berman's live at the Marriott Marquis for the Thurman Munson Award Dinner. Hi, Len.
That's right. How you doing, Jim? This is the 22nd annual Thurman Munson Awards Dinner. Munson, a former Yankee captain, and when we continue on Live at 5, one of tonight's honorees, another Yankee captain, Don Mattingly, will join me live. That's coming up next in sports, live from the Marriott Marquis on Live at 5.
This just into News Channel 4. Prosecutors in the murder case against Kennedy cousin Michael Skakel have withdrawn their request for blood and hair samples from Skakel. It's according to Skakel's attorney, Michael Sherman. Sherman says the request confirms there is no DNA link to Skakel. Skakel is accused of killing Greenwich teenager Martha Moxley back in 1975. Jury selection in that case is scheduled to begin in April.
With just 8 days now until the Winter Olympics begin, we're taking a closer look at some of the games. One sport is sledding, but not the kind most of us have ever done. It's called luge. Rob Morrison takes a look at the efforts to recruit future Olympians for this high-speed sport.
Most of us have been sledding before. Well, this is the same thing, only supercharged. Luge became an Olympic sport in 1959, but the first international luge race took place well before that, in 1883. Today, the sport has evolved into this: men and women screaming down icy tracks at breakneck speeds.
In Salt Lake City in February, you will see speeds over 90 miles per hour. I mean, it's a speed sport. There's no doubt about it.
Three-time Olympian and 1998 Olympic silver medalist Gordy Shear has spent a lot of time on a sled. These days, he travels around the country promoting his sport and recruiting young talent.
Just going to give you guys a quick overview of what we're going to do today.
Recently, Gordy and other Team USA luge athletes and coaches were up at Mountain Creek in Vernon, New Jersey for the 2002 Verizon Luge Challenge, looking for kids between 10 to 14 years old who may have a future in luge. We asked him what it takes.
we're looking for someone who's, number one, comfortable at speed, and number two, in shape.
To the untrained eye, there's not much to it. Just get on the sled and go. But in a sport where mere hundredths of seconds count, technique is everything, starting with steering.
If you want to steer the sled to the right, what you're going to do is pull with your right hand. And what that does is actually lift the runner up just a little bit.
These beginner sleds are obviously more low-tech than pro sleds, and this course not as steep, but for a first-timer like me, it can be a little nerve-wracking.
I don't know, dude. This looks a little scary from up here. Don't worry about it.
And I wasn't the only one who found out luge is a lot harder than it looks.
Two crashes today. I'm going up for a third. We'll see what happens.
The experts say, contrary to what you might think, it's not the daredevils who succeed at this sport.
It's usually someone with a pretty level head. It's someone who is able to think clearly and block everything out and focus on the important things.
And who knows from where the next Olympic superstar will come? Maybe right here.
I want to be in the Olympics, and I want to just get gold medal every single time, you know?
Rob Morrison, News Channel 4.
Cannot wait to see Sue try the luge out there. And, of course, for complete coverage of the Winter Olympics, keep it right here on News Channel 4. We're going to have live reports from Salt Lake beginning next week.
Well, Len Berman is at an annual, very important fundraiser, the Thurman Munson Dinner. Len?
Thank you, Sue and Jim. This is quite an evening coming up. This is the 22nd annual awards dinner to benefit the Association for the Help of Retarded Children. Once again, I have the honor of emceeing, and one of the people being honored, Don Mattingly, another former Yankee captain. Welcome to Live at 5. It's great to see you again.
Thanks.
But when you and Thurman Munson, there were only 10 Yankee captains to be in that same club with names like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. I mean, that's kind of awesome.
It is, and some of my heroes really, when just first starting out, Greg Nettles was the captain, then Willie and Gator after that, and just, for me, great role models.
You never actually met Thurman. He passed away just before you got to the big club.
Right after I signed in playing in rookie ball. I remember they retiring a friend of mine's number, or not retiring his number, but he was wearing 15, and they took the numbers away and put the armbands on, and it was just, it was weird, and then kind of really probably know him more through Goose and listen to those guys talk and those guys talk in spring training. So,
well, you had a chance to put the pinstripes on, be a Yankee hitting coach, and you decided you want to stay home in Evansville.
Well, it's not so much that. I've made a commitment to my family and kids to be there, you know, through school and all that, and I want to hold to that. And it's something that's very important to me to watch my kids grow up and make sure they get what they need from me until I, you know, take another shot at, you know, doing what I like to do the most. And yeah, it was a pretty easy decision, really.
So you can see yourself getting back into the game maybe down the road?
I would like to. I really enjoy helping guys. I feel like I have, you know, something to give, and it's really a great feeling when you can help a guy, you know, make an adjustment or and getting going in the right direction.
Speaking of adjustments, you didn't have to make too many, as we'll look at some file footage of you. I can't believe you've been out of the game so long, back in '95. But I remember reading where Mickey Mantle used to say that he would dream that he was still playing after he was retired. Do you ever have dreams like that you're still in pinstripes?
No, not really. Most of the time, I think just getting out of bed, being a little bit sore and stiff all the time kind of keeps you from doing that. But I had a very fulfilling career, you know, other than not getting a chance to play in postseason as much as I would like to. But, you know, I played with some great guys and played in the city. This city's a great city to play in and play for this organization. It was a great chance for me.
And your number one highlight in Yankee Stadium, roll this tape. Was this your number one highlight of all time on the foul ball? You don't even know what's coming, probably.
Yeah, I do now.
I can't believe this is 9 years ago.
This is so much fun, though. This little guy was probably about the age of my middle son, Preston. And that foul ball goes about 6 rows deep. Everybody turns around. He's looking right at me, and I go, "Can I have some of that?" And he just looks at me like this big stare, and so I just had to snatch a little.
That kid's probably in college now. Anyway, thanks, Don. Great seeing you. Look terrific. All right, congratulations on your honor tonight. Coming up at 6, more honorees. They have a great roster tonight, from Joe Torre to Jason Williams. We'll talk with more of the honorees later on. Back to you.
All right, Len, thank you.
Coming up next, driving and dialing don't mix, but is the state's law keeping the roads safe? ASA takes a look.
And the end of an era for the Jersey Journal. We've got details ahead on Live at 5.
Is New York's law banning drivers from using handheld cell phones really making our roads any safer?
That's the question Asa and consumer reporters have been asking, and you have the answer.
And when the law changed last December, a lot of people ran right out there to buy the hands-free sets for their cell phones. But keeping your hands on the wheel doesn't guarantee that you're keeping your mind on driving.
I'm just driving in Manhattan. I should be at your office in about 10 minutes.
Like many drivers, Tony Coughlin recently bought a headset for his cell phone. Tony lives in Connecticut, but often drives into Manhattan on business and makes calls from his car. He says he didn't want to get a ticket for using a handheld phone. Plus, he likes his new hands-free set.
I love it. It's a great device. I probably should have bought one earlier. Makes driving and talking on my cell phone much, much easier.
A hands-free cell phone may be more convenient, but not necessarily safer.
The vast majority of legislation targets only handheld phones and leaves drivers free to use hands-free phones. But studies are now showing that there's really no difference between the two.
Consumer Reports did limited testing on drivers using cell phones and found mental distraction plays a role in driving performance, whether both hands are on the wheel or not.
What we found was, as many more in-depth studies have also found, that driving performance suffered when someone was having an involved conversation. It didn't matter whether they were holding the phone or using it hands-free.
Rick Paul says the Consumer Reports testers often slowed down and wandered in their lanes while trying to drive and talk on a hands-free cell phone at the same time. The testers were also less likely to read road signs thoroughly.
When they were talking on the phone, generally they would not notice certain details about the signs that they might have noticed had they not been on the phone.
Tony says he feels comfortable multitasking, even when driving in New York City traffic, but he also tries to keep his cell phone conversations short.
I like to keep my calls within a minute or two.
If you want to use a phone while you're driving, the best thing to do is pull off and come to a stop. And that's not only courteous to other drivers, but it also could keep you out of an accident.
Hi, how are you?
So hands-free cell phones may be driving you to distraction, just like the handheld type. So try to limit those phone calls while driving and do focus on the road. And speaking of the road, that's the safest place to make a cell phone call, from this side of the road, parked, whenever you can.
Good advice. Thanks, Asa.
All right, let's go to Tom Brokaw, see what's doing on Nightly tonight. Tom?
Thank you very much, Sue. Obviously, we're going to have the very latest on that young American journalist who's being held hostage in Pakistan. Still no negotiations on the part of the United States. The deadline, of course, has been extended for 24 hours, so we'll take a look at that tonight. We are also going to take a look at a heart transplant patient that you will not believe, but you should pay attention because you helped pay for it. And this is a jail inmate. It turns out that the state was required to give him the medical attention that he wanted, and it cost a lot of money. And finally tonight, we'll revisit fleecing of America. This one involved veterans who were not asked, in fact, they were forced to deduct their disability payments from their retirement pensions. We've got a lot going on. See you back here at 6:30 soon, Jim.
Tom, thank you.
Still to come, Jersey City's only daily newspaper calling it quits after more than a decade of publication. Details why ahead on Live at 5.
Coming up tonight on News Channel 4 at 6, 2 young boys lost their father in the World Trade Center attacks, and now another tragedy has left them orphans. Also ahead, a woman accused of running a one-woman global sex scam gets a dose of her own medicine, the Sting, at 6. And a News Channel 4 exclusive, our investigation into problems at free dental clinics. What was supposed to be fixed is anything but. Those stories coming up in a few minutes at 6. Back to you.
We'll see you then, Michelle. Finally here at 5, the only daily newspaper in New Jersey's second largest city will have its last press run Saturday morning. After 135 years, the Jersey Journal is going out of business. New Jersey reporter Brian Thompson has more.
It was a day for a hug. 2 soon-to-be former employees of a newspaper that'll be no more, the Jersey Journal.
21 years of it, and it's all over. Just kicked us to the curb like it was nothing.
Its news boxes hardly in demand. Hudson County's only daily has seen circulation shrivel to just 40,000.
This is, only thing that tells us what's going on in Jersey City.
In the square named for the paper, news vendors stood lonely vigil with few takers for their paper. Readers like Luis Leifer, once a paper boy himself, upset at its demise.
Well, that's not fair, is it? They're supposed to have it for the people that can't get out.
I feel sorry for our readership. What can I say?
Reporters Guild President Ron Lair was willing to make significant concessions, but the drivers' union, according to the publisher, was not. So the decision that Saturday will be the last day, this letter giving formal notice.
Everybody's really upset about it. And
you're watching NBC4, the Tri-State News Channel. And now, Chuck Scarborough, Michelle Marsh, Janice Huff, and Len Berman. This is News Channel 4 at 6.
A woman accused of spinning a global web of sex to con men meets her match.
2 young brothers orphaned. First, they lost their father on September 11th, and now their mother has passed away.
Security is tight, traffic a mess, and protesters take to the streets for the World Economic Forum. Good evening. We're beginning now with a sex scam that stretched from New York to China.
A Long Island man was charged with a horrible crime. He is now off the hook, but his case should be a warning to anyone who's looking for love online. Long Island reporter Greg Sergel has the story.
His lawyer calls him a naive guy just looking for the right girl. But last March, Richard Koster was an accused sex offender, formally indicted by the Staten Island DA on 2 counts of first-degree sodomy. He was charged with attacking Mao Zheng, a 26-year-old Chinese national whom he met on the internet.
I went on the AOL Personals, and I saw this woman on there. She seemed very attractive, and she said she was going to be coming to New York, so I told her I would have no problem showing her around.
But after spending 4 days and some intimate moments together on Staten Island, Koster says Zheng asked if he would marry her. When Koster declined, she went to his employer, the U.S. Parks Police, and filed a report accusing him of unlawful imprisonment and sexual assault. That's when Koster was arrested and suspended from his job.
We've all just been horrified at the thought of what might happen to my brother because we know he's not capable of that kind of behavior.
With Koster facing jail time, he turned to celebrity lawyer Dominic Barbara.
When I looked at the case, I believe that the woman from China was a scam artist and worse.
Barbara hired a private investigator who went online posing as a wealthy but lonely man, and he made contact with the same woman who had accused Koster. She had gone back to China. Private investigator Bill Stanton says he flew the woman back to New York, put her up in a Manhattan hotel room filled with hidden cameras and microphones, and according to Stanton, secured a boudoir confession that she was part of a ring preying on unsuspecting American men.
You have guys who are lonely, who are looking for love in all the wrong places over the internet, and these women are essentially cashing in on their loneliness.
In the end, the Staten Island DA dismissed the charges against Koster. A DA spokesman would say only that we couldn't prove the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
I feel good that the truth was told as far as this. I'm not going to prison.
The woman in question is now back in China, facing no charges at the moment. But Koster's lawyers are urging all men who surf the net to beware. Greg Sergel, News Channel 4.
It is day 1 of the World Economic Forum in Manhattan. Security's tight, and while a few protesters have been arrested, most of the demonstrations so far have been peaceful. Glenn Walker is live in Midtown right now with the latest for us. Glenn?
Well, Chuck, police tell us that those protesters you talked about all facing minor charges, so not that big a deal. Day 1 of this World Economic Forum was relatively quiet. The only major problem or hassle was all of the police barricades and checkpoints. On Park Avenue, protesters a full 2 blocks away from the Waldorf Astoria, clearly outnumbered by New York's finest. Officers clustered in groups around building entryways and street corners in the blocks surrounding the hotel, which is hosting the World Economic Forum. One of the opening day topics, technology and security. Dan Olson, one of the hundreds of CEOs in attendance, owns the world's largest fleet of ferry boats. He believes the exchange of information is power, but nothing sinister is going on.
It is to get an understanding for what's going to happen in the world in the coming year. And we are going to a more transparent world, and I think it is a moment I want to encourage.
While today's protests were low-key, under control, there was minor trouble. A Starbucks coffee shop on Broadway in Lower Manhattan was vandalized early this morning, and there was a bomb scare at the 14th Street subway station. But no evidence either incident was related to the World Economic Forum. Back in the neighborhood around the Waldorf, restaurants appear to be doing business as usual. But at the New York Palace, too many barriers between potential customers and the clearance sale at Robert Blau's boutique.
We're just hoping for this to go through and finish and go back to normal business next week.
A prime example of the inconvenience can be found right here at the New York Palace, a block away from the Waldorf. Now, people spend a lot of money to stay in this hotel, but when it comes time to hail a cab, they have to do it in the middle of Madison Avenue.
Well, it's difficult, but you know, that's what we have to do to be safe. It's better than the alternative.
I think it's worth it. It's good for the economy in New York, and certainly you feel a lot safer. I think the precautions are well worth it.
Of course, these World Economic Forums in the past have been marked by violence. I was talking to one police officer today. He said back in Seattle in 1999, the entire Seattle Police Department only has 3,000 officers. New York's finest has 4,000 officers assigned on this one. So they believe that they will certainly just outnumber the protesters and quell any problems. That's the latest from Midtown. Glenn Walker, News Channel 4. Now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Glenn. The New York State Republican Party is going to hold its convention this May in New York City. Governor Pataki says the Republicans picked Manhattan to help the city in its economic recovery. Pataki is expected to run for a third term, and at the convention, delegates will nominate candidates to fill 4 statewide offices up for grabs this November. The state's Democratic convention will also be held in the city in May.
With only a couple of weeks on the job, New Jersey Governor Jim McGreevey is getting a lukewarm approval rating. According to a Quinnipiac poll, 42% of those surveyed approve of the job he's doing, 19% do not, 39% are undecided. The poll has a margin of error of 3.1%. Now, compared to a similar Quinnipiac poll in February of 1996, 56% of registered voters approved of then-Governor Christine Whitman's performance, 33% did not approve, 11% were undecided.
It's been a very long time coming. Since 1980, the city of Yonkers has been torn apart by charges of segregation in the city's school system. Today, a settlement in a federal lawsuit was signed. News Channel 4 reporter McGee Hickey was there.
It was definitely something to sing about in Yonkers today. After more than 2 decades of bitter court battles, an agreement was signed calling for the state to provide $300 million to the Yonkers School District over the next 5 years to pay for programs to improve the performance of Black and Hispanic students. This new settlement also will end the role of a federal monitor.
The parents, the local officials, the school board will control the schools, and that's the way it should always be.
The key to arriving at this settlement, all sides agree, was moving beyond blaming Yonkers and its Board of Ed. When the NAACP sued the Yonkers Board of Education, about 35% of Yonkers students were Black or Hispanic. And now, 21 years later, the number is more like 3/4 of the students are minority. So news of the settlement is very welcome indeed. Particularly because Yonkers has a huge school deficit and should be getting $70 million this year as part of the settlement to go towards reducing class size and providing more individualized attention.
We're able to now do targeted instruction to provide after school during the summers and support during the school day that we believe will help all students to achieve.
And to these 7th graders, the settlement hopefully will end much of the tension at school.
I think it should be done a long time ago. And you really shouldn't have racism in school. It shouldn't segregate people. Now that they're signing this lawsuit, we're all going to be together.
In Yonkers, McGee Hickey, News Channel 4.
The settlement still needs to be approved by the state legislature, but all sides agree it's just a formality.
Here's the latest on the kidnapping of Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl. The group claiming to hold him hostage says it will extend the deadline to execute Pearl by 24 hours. And now boxing legend Muhammad Ali is appealing for Pearl's release. In a statement, Ali said Muslims must lead by example. Secretary of State Colin Powell says the U.S. government will not get involved in negotiating Pearl's release.
The demands that the kidnappers have placed are not demands that we can meet or deal with or get into a negotiation about.
Among the group's demands, the Pakistanis who are being held in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, be sent home. NBC News has new information about the al-Qaeda documents left behind by terrorists, including how much the terrorists knew and where they could possibly strike next. That information tonight on NBC Nightly News.
And straight ahead on News Channel 4 at 6, an outpouring of support for 2 young brothers who are now orphans. Their mother, a World Trade Center widow, lost her battle with cancer.
Also ahead, free dental offices still closed years after they were supposed to open. What's going on here? Tonight we have a heartbreaking story of 2 orphan brothers. When a Brooklyn woman was diagnosed with breast cancer last year, she and her husband prepared their 2 sons for life without mom, telling the kids that dad would always be around to take care of them.
But a few months later, he died in the World Trade Center attacks. And yesterday, she lost her battle with cancer. News Channel 4 reporter John Noel is live in Ditmas Park right now with more for us. John?
Chuck, those two little boys may be orphans right now, but they will never be alone. Not as long as the firefighters from Engine Company 281 Ladder 147 are here. The guys at Engine Company 281 Ladder 147 in Brooklyn had never met the Diazes, but when they heard about the family's plight, they knew they had to do something. On the morning of September 11th, 33-year-old Matthew Diaz was killed while working on the 105th floor of No. 1 World Trade Center, leaving behind a wife and two small children. A wife who had already been diagnosed with terminal breast cancer. Hearing about the Diaz family, the firefighters immediately took them under their wings, helping to raise more than $7,000 and making sure the boys had a Christmas.
We just wanted to go over there and have fun with the kids, and that's what we did. We went over there on a Saturday morning. We brought the rigs over there. It was nice. We brought over a bunch of presents. The kids loved it. We were there for like 2 hours. It was incredible. It was wonderful.
But now memories of that wonderful moment have been replaced by more tragedy. Yesterday, 35-year-old Karen Diaz lost her battle with cancer, leaving 7-year-old Michael and 4-year-old Christopher orphans.
It's terrible. I couldn't imagine, I still have both my parents. I'm very lucky, and I'm 6-7 times older than these kids. They never really, the kids are so young.
The boys do have plenty of relatives who will take care of them. However, the firefighters on Cotillion Road say they too will be there for them.
Well, that's why a lot of guys take this job. They want to reach out to people and show they care, and this was another way of doing that, and it was easy to do.
We're regular guys just trying to help out regular people, and that's it. That's basically it.
It is what New York City firefighters do, help people, and it doesn't take a burning building to get them to spring into action. Reporting live in Brooklyn, John Noel, News Channel 4. Michelle, back to you.
John, thank you. A jury has awarded a Long Island woman who sued her health insurance company over $200,000. Joan Martin has a rare condition that has caused her to lose all her teeth. She sued GHI for denying her coverage after she had paid more than $135,000 for surgery and dental implants. GHI is the company that insures thousands of city and state employees, including Martin's husband. The jury awarded Martin $130,000 to cover her dental bills and another $100,000 in punitive damages. No word yet on whether GHI will appeal the verdict.
Still ahead, a story you'll see only on News Channel 4, why free dental clinics that were supposed to open their doors years ago are still dark.
And a local paper announces it's stopping the presses. And now a story you'll see only on News Channel 4. Several free New York City dental clinics closed in 1999 were supposed to be reopened thanks to money allocated by the City Council. But 2 years later, well, political reporter Jay DeDapper's here with more.
Well, 2 years later, the City Council members, many of them, are not happy about what's happened. 2 years later, these free dental clinics have not reopened, and they say nothing's been done to do so. HHC, the Health and Hospitals Corporation, which actually operates the clinic, says they have done something. But 2 years later, these clinics are still not open.
Inside the City Health Clinic in Chelsea, the dental offices are dark. The free dental clinic here, one of 10, closed late in 1999 by the Health and Hospitals Corporation. But also one of 3 the City Council gave $1.7 million to reopen in 2000. 2 years later?
None of them are open. None of them are open. Most of them are not on target to be opened until 2003. And people are still not getting the dental care that they need.
Back in 1999, HHC promised that clients of those closed clinics would be referred to other HHC facilities and that they'd still qualify for free dental care. But our investigation at the time showed callers to those other locations either couldn't get through or got wrong information. 2 years later...
Thank you for calling Metropolitan Hospital Center.
City Council investigators made dozens of calls earlier this week, in one case calling Metropolitan Hospital 6 times in a row. Hung up on twice, then referred to a wrong number, the investigator was finally told how to make an appointment, but was told it wouldn't be free.
No, Medicaid has to pay for it. Nothing is free.
Advocates say this ends up hurting all kinds of kids.
It's children in low-income neighborhoods, children who don't have health insurance, or children whose health insurance doesn't cover dental care, or often children on Medicaid.
HHC defends the time frame, saying plans have been drawn up for 2 clinics, which could reopen by next winter. As for the phone problems, HHC acknowledges it could do better, but says no child has been turned away. Councilwoman Quinn says it all sounds very familiar to her.
The bottom line is the city closed these. We identified, the council, a problem with the referrals. They said they would fix it. They didn't. The council gave the city money to reopen them. They said they would, and they haven't done anything to make sure that they get reopened.
This will be the subject of a city council hearing tomorrow, and you can bet that HHC officials will be grilled because, after all, there's almost an entirely new council with new council members who weren't around last time when this issue came before them, and they're all looking to make a name for themselves.
Thank you, Jay.
All right, Chase. The Jersey Journal is going out of business. The Jersey City newspaper has chronicled life in Hudson County for 135 years. It's going to publish its last edition, though, on Saturday. The publisher failed to reach an agreement on job cuts with all 3 of the unions that represent the newspaper's employees. Circulation, which peaked at 100,000 copies during the 1970s, has now fallen to about 40,000 readers daily.
Len Berman's live in Times Square now with a look at what's coming up in sports.
Well, Michelle and Chuck, it's the Thurman Munson Awards dinner, and coming up in sports, I'll talk live with 2 of the honorees, Yankee manager Joe Torre and Jason Williams, broadcaster par excellence. They are both coming up next live from Midtown on News Channel 4 at 6.
We have an update on the story we've covered here on News Channel 4 very carefully. 2 members of New York's congressional delegation are calling for hearings into the safety of the Airbus A300. That's the same aircraft that crashed on November 12th in Bell Harbor. Representatives Jose Serrano and Nydia Velasquez are concerned about safety complaints they say have been made over the course of 20 years about the A300. Airbus responded by saying that an inquiry was already being made by federal authorities in the form of the NTSB investigation into the crash of Flight 587. It is time now for sports, and as we said, Len Berman is standing by at the Marriott Marquis for a special reason. Len.
Thank you, Chuck. It is the 22nd annual Thurman Munson Awards dinner, and it's my honor once again to MC 2 of the honorees. What a day as we have tonight. Joe Torre, Jason Williams. Is this a broadcast team made in heaven or what? Unbelievable.
Nice being with you, Lenny.
Good to see you again. And I'm just wondering, now you're going to spring training. You're not the champs. I mean, my God, what have you done for me lately, manager?
That means we have to work harder, I guess. I'll tell you, I certainly, if somebody booked it right now and says you're going to go into the 9th inning with Rivera on the mound with a 1-run lead, I'll take it right now.
Now, were you this crushed when this ended? I mean, I'm sure you're unhappy, but after all, you did win 3 in a row, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't crushed. I felt bad for Rivera, there's no question. But the thing is, you know, getting a 1-run lead going to the last 2 innings, that ended my decision making. You know, once that happened, I just put Mo in the game, and that was it for me. So I could sleep at night. I realized that we pickpocketed them twice. They pickpocketed us once. It was enough for Game 7.
What does it mean to you to have an honor named after Thurman Munson?
Well, knowing the kind of person Thurman was and the kind of player he was, it sort of exemplifies what I'd like our team to be about. They're a blue-collar type guy. They don't get off the floor until they win the ball game, and they keep coming back for more, and Thurman was that kind of guy.
We talk a little basketball. I mean, I think it's absolutely fitting. You left the Nets and they got good.
And you know what? And I came on NBC and we done lost the NBA contract.
There you go. So
I'm on a roll.
You're the kiss of death, Jason Williams.
I'm the Jimmy Hoffa of the Nets.
Well, we'll show a little Nets footage. Is this team for real?
Oh, seriously.
Which is this when I played?
Oh, not at all.
This is when I left Purgatory. These guys are really playing well. Everybody's healthy. Kerry Kittles, Kenyon Martin's healthy, and so is Keith Van Horn, and this guy Jason Kidd, the real Jason in town, is really playing well right now.
Do you think that this will be a serious contender this year, or is this just good in the regular season but not quite the playoff?
I think they're going to need one more center, or one more banger, one more tough guy. I think Todd McCullough's doing a good job, but they're going to need somebody if he gets in foul trouble going against the other guys.
I'm going to talk a little football before you guys go away, because the coach of the Patriots had a big decision to make. He picked Tom Brady. Let's listen to the 2 quarterbacks. It'll be Brady starting on Sunday.
To really know that you're going to be starting the game, I mean, it's pretty exciting. I mean,
I said a couple days ago, it's really a dream come true to be the quarterback and start a Super Bowl. It's the highlight probably of my life.
It was kind of like giving a starving man a taste. I've been a football player for a long time, and as a football player, I don't like to watch.
See, that's a real job, coaching football. Between Jeter and Soho, that's an easy choice.
Yeah, not too bad. You have someone like Bledsoe off the bench, but he probably wants his more experienced guy coming off the bench. And the fact that the kid has been doing it all year, I think, makes it the decision easy, as long as he's healthy.
Are you taking this seriously, this analysis of sports? My goodness.
Well, I love football. I'm not sure about this game. I think New England's going to have some special teams help to beat
St. Louis.
I think so.
All right, Jason, wax poetic. Who's going to win Sunday?
Well, Luke on the second told me it's 80% luck, right? And 10% coaching and 10% personnel. Or is it the other way around?
I was just making sure you got up to 100%. I wasn't sure you were going to get to 100 on there.
Well, I'm going with the Rams.
Rams. Well, I guess it's unanimous. Guys, thank you. It's quite an honor tonight that you guys are getting, and I'm happy to be here as well. So, Joe, Jason.
Great seeing you,
Thanks,
Len.
guys.
Thank you, Len. Nice seeing you
again. Thanks for joining. All right, that's it for our 6 o'clock sports. We'll see you again at 11 o'clock tonight. Back to you.
That's great. Thanks, Len. Up next, it's going to get warmer, but not for long. Janice's forecast is next.
But first, here's what Tom Brokaw has coming up on NBC Nightly News.
Tonight, America on high alert, disturbing new information about those captured al-Qaeda documents. What do the terrorists know? That and the latest on the American held hostage coming up here on NBC4.
Scott Weinberger's here now with a look at the story we'll have for you at 11 o'clock tonight. Scott.
Chuck and Michelle, more than 260,000 people around the world hold a pilot's license issued by the FAA. They're all on the list that the FBI is very interested in because more than 1,700 of the pilots come from nations the U.S. government classifies as sponsors of terrorism.
In some of those countries, Syria, Iran, Iraq, anybody who comes for a pilot's license effectively is working for the government there.
But as it stands, apparently due to a loophole in federal regulations, the FBI cannot locate thousands of these pilots. We're calling it the list, and we'll have it at 11. Chuck, Michelle.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Temperatures are going up again. Here's Janice.
Yeah, Michelle, from 70-degree weather to chilly rain and freezing rain, and tomorrow once again near 60. A seesaw with the weather. We'll see what happens over the weekend coming up. Let's check out things now. We'll give you an update. Look at that traffic coming into the city at the Lincoln Tunnel. We still have wet streets around the area. The temperatures, though, in the city are above freezing. So what we see is rain and wet streets and no ice. But there are a few communities to the north still seeing a little bit of freezing rain. 39 degrees in Central Park. Winds are out of the east, still lots of moisture flowing in, gusting to 20 miles per hour. Relative humidity 100%. There's plenty of fog around and drizzle still, and the barometer steady. So it's still rather raw and damp across the region. Neighborhood weather night site now, Oceanside Middle School in Nassau County, 37. Your high was 40 today. 0.03 inches of precipitation. You've got fog and drizzle and a northeast wind blowing rather strongly at this hour. Central Park's high today 41, a low of 36, the precip measuring 0.03. It was on the light side across the area today with most of the ice and snow well to our north. 63, the record high for this state. The precip record snowfall of 8 inches on this day too. Winter storm or winter weather advisories are in effect for Orange, Putnam, Dutchess, and Ulster counties. That's where the temperatures are the coldest, and in those pockets in the valleys, you still may have freezing rain problems tonight. Otherwise, it's in the upper 30s to low 40s across the area, and more warm air is on the way. We can see the precipitation just to our north. We just missed that major storm where they're seeing snow across parts of New England and also a layer of ice. Spotty drizzle and fog mainly the problems for us tonight. Maybe some patchy ice to the north and west with the colder temperatures. Tomorrow we'll be in the warm sector of air that's to our south. We'll be back into the mid-50s. Upper 50s to near 60 for one day, and then things change. The jet stream dips to the south. A little bit of Arctic air will start to spill our way, not all of it. So the temperature is becoming much colder going into the weekend. So a touch of winter once again as we go back and forth, almost like springtime. Here's the forecast for the tri-state area. For tonight, drizzle and fog all over the place. Drive safely, a low of 40. We're expecting to see temperatures rising as the warm sector moves in later on tonight. Tomorrow morning, light rain and patchy fog with temperatures in the mid-40s. And see that south wind? That's going to help the temperatures to soar to near 60 degrees by the afternoon. Even though we won't see a whole lot of sun, we'll probably see some, but we'll have mild temperatures and very breezy as well. 61 tomorrow. What happens after that? Well, Saturday and Sunday, we drop back to the 30s during the day. Lots of sunshine for the weekend. Overnight lows very chilly this weekend into the 20s. Possibility of a little disturbance coming through on Monday, some light snow, but it won't stick around long. 38 for a high on Monday and 38 on Tuesday. It's hard to keep up with all these changes in the weather. It's just only February. Well, almost February.
So strange. It makes you wonder if we're going to get some big storm in April or something. Ooh,
well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Just got her all excited.
Yeah. That's News Channel 4 at 6.
Up next on NBC Nightly News, the kidnappers of an American journalist in Pakistan delay their execution deadline by 24 hours. Sue and I hope to see you at 11 o'clock tonight. Thanks for joining us. Good night.